Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hey guys, welcome. Shawn will be on in 22 seconds or so, and we'll get cracking. Good morning. Hey guys, hello. Hope you're all doing well. We're gonna do something a bit different this morning. I just broke the news to Shawn. He's a bit concerned, but we're gonna do kind of a game show-ish kind of approach to this rather than just talk. So it'll be interesting and fun and sort of a different approach. Shawn's coming in. Hello, good morning. Ashton, I kind of wanted to buy that paddleboard thing I saw you post. I think it's a paddleboard. There's Shawn. Go Laat.
Hello?
There we are.
Oh, buddy, you got a little cut.
I what?
You got a little cut.
This whole
A little
thing?
haircut. A
See all
little
the
haircut.
white?
Oh, buddy, you should see Terrence David's too. He's got gray in the beard like you. I'm like, buddy, so Terry, you're younger than me, but you look older than me, man.
It's the ginger thing. People say, "Oh my gosh, you're going blonde." It's like, no, 100%. I've
It
just
is the
converted
ginger thing. Terry's a little ginger too. So there we go, man.
30%. I've just changed to white. That's all.
Nice. So how's the sound, Pat? Pat, sounds okay?
Sounds good. And I don't know, you're a little pixelated. I don't know if that's on your end or my end.
You look clear, and I look clear on mine.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
as we've talked about before, none of this is scripted. We don't map anything out or plan anything out aside from I do some data mining and look at what's going on. Usually the night before I'll do it, and Shawn on the fly just sort of riffs on what we're talking about. And one thing that's cool about you is your instinct is usually pretty accurate or bang on as far as what's going on, and so it's sort of two different approaches. So today, yeah, it does say that you're pixelated.
Okay. Try the light.
I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or on data.
You know what? Let me try if I take off the Wi-Fi. Does that do anything?
Not as of yet, but it's okay. We can
Yeah,
see you enough. So I want to do today, not a game show in a sense of like I'm going to ask you a trivia question and you're going to have three different options to answer it. I just sort of broke out. I saw 6 parts of the market that I thought tell the story of what's going on out there. So I'm going to throw them out there, and then you have the option to choose which one, and then I'll touch on the data that's behind it, and then we'll talk.
sounds good.
You look better, by the way. You're cleared up a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so we've got number 1, data danger. 2, highs and lows. 3, what happened last week. 4, $1 million market share. 5, St. Catharines, the chicken beak market, patent pending. And then new listings and people to buy them. What do you want to crack at first?
Let's go with your. I'm very intrigued by the chicken analogy. So let's get into that.
So the chicken beak. So we all know what a chicken beak looks like, right? Like that. And so one of the things, and we talk about this a ton about pricing strategy, is people pricing this month using that month's strategy. And that's when you see a house get relisted for an extra 80 grand and all that stuff, right? So it's all around the whole way pricing has happened has flipped upside down in the span of 60 days. So back in February and March, on average, the selling price was 115%, 116% of asking. Over the next month, in April, it was around 105 to 108%. And May, sitting right now, is about 100.5, almost 100% of asking. So what's happened simultaneously is selling prices have eased back a bit, at the same time that list prices are going. And I think that's part of what's feeding people's narrative that prices are coming down, because they're seeing a few things happen simultaneously. So it literally has, I don't know if you can see there, the top line's asking, the top line is selling price, the bottom is asking.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about it. Prices have gone down. From the beginning of the year to where we are now, prices definitely have gone down. I feel, this is just mine, Pat, I feel prices jumped about 30% from November, December. By the time we hit February into March, we were 30% up from the year before. I feel now that we dropped about 15% from then, maybe even more, 10%. Those are kind of the numbers I'm using a little bit when I'm kind of doing my CMAs and stuff like that. I'm roughly depending 15 to 10%, adding on certain values and different things like that.
Yep. I agree.
I also see, though, that I think we have hit a balancing in certain aspects. I kind of see that we've hit the kind of benchmark of pricing a little bit. And there's certain areas that I've been listing in and watching, obviously, because I've been doing some business in those areas. And one is Welland, where it was $849.9, $849.9. I had a listing coming up. Seller's like, nope, $849.9's not the go. They're sitting. We'll do $799. And at the this is right when it was all starting to come down. $799 seemed to be the number, but in that 2 weeks, it switched to $749.9. And in that neighborhood, $749.9 is the go price. Everything now is selling very close to $749.9. Buyers do not have a problem paying that value. And it's not like 700, it's not coming down anymore, it's kind of balanced. That is an area, though, that doesn't have much supply. You talk about North End St. Catharines, little bit of a different animal. Yeah. We got supply there, right? So,
first of all, my son has joined us, and he's in class right now. So, Elliot, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for popping in.
Nice. That is dedication to real estate, Elliot.
You want to talk?
Checking us out.
You want to talk real estate numbers because it's osmosis, right? None of his numbers are correct, but he knows the lingo like that, man. He'll talk days in the market, buying, supply and demand, and all this stuff. Presentation of offers. So yeah, I agree that from November, December to January was, for St. Catharines, was the biggest 1 month jump we've ever had. And then it went up again into February. So I think I don't actually know the February number, but I would hazard a guess you're pretty close, like 22 to 30%.
Like and the numbers, what I'm using, kind of lines up.
Yep. And so could we stand for things to settle back down from there? 100% we could, right?
It could, yeah. I feel kind of right now is that balance. Will it go down potentially more? Maybe as interest rates go up further, we could, but I think there's a couple factors where I feel the next couple months we might have some movement. And I'm not talking craziness by any means, but I'm thinking we might start to see what we've actually experienced this week, Pat. And I think one of your, let's go on to your next one there.
What a segue. What happened last week, Shawn?
We saw some sales.
Yeah. So a few things that were notable. In the last 7 days, 410 new listings, 142 sales. So
yep.
Like so. But remember, we've been tracking back into February the weekly percentage of out of market buyer brokerages, and we've always said it's not a perfect science, right? It doesn't mean that they are working with an out of market buyer. Just like a local agent, it doesn't mean that they're working with a local buyer. But it's an interesting stat nonetheless. So it was at 47% last week. So if you remember back in February, March, it was 60, 65, 70%. So 47% is a little bit different. So over half of the buyer brokerages were actually local Niagara brokerages. So that's a bit of a change. And I think we've all felt that, right? I don't know about you with your listings.
Absolutely. I personally feel it's going back to like this. To Pat, this is really a market where you and I started it.
Are you
Where
talking
we
about
didn't
back
have,
when I had a Pontiac Grand Prix?
yeah, when you had your Pontiac Grand Prix,
that
and you know what? It was slow hauls on our listings. Getting showings was tough, pounding open houses, you know, and just digging deep and doing the things that, to be honest, we've had the luxury of not really having to do over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
A lot of us had the opportunity to have the business just kind of come to us. But now it's a market where you got to dig deep and go find the business. And what I'm seeing out there right now is like I said, when you and I started, we were predominantly a local market. Yes, we had some out-of-towners moving here to live here. That's what we're experiencing now. Most of the out-of-towners coming to our market,
And
there is mild investment, but most of them are selling to buy here. And what I'm noticing as well is a lot of our locals are looking to sell to buy. So that's why we're kind of in this like pause per se, because everyone's got to sell kind of to buy. There is a small percentage of buyers out there who don't have a house to sell. But, you know, once you're approaching that above 700, most likely people got to sell their house. So there's a lot of people that have got their houses for sale. Buyers are coming out. I just feel it coming from my people reaching out to me. I've done open houses in the past 2 weeks. Yeah, digging deep, man, digging deep. What's the best way to get some buyers? Do a good old open house.
Two things on all what was just said. So the one thing is we forget what's normal when things get so outrageous, right? It's like when you're on a roller coaster, you forget what it's like to stand on firm ground again. So days on market average 2018 and 19 was 45, 55 days in the market for May. And so right now, what is it now? It's at 16. Is it going to settle at 18 probably for the month? Yeah. But that's still, you know, roughly a third, 40% of what it was 2-3 years ago.
Well,
also
a question for you, and buddy, I coined a new nickname for you, okay? And I got some team members watching, and guys, I'd just like everyone to introduce to Statty Patty. Statty Patty. Statty Patty's got the stats.
I'll take that.
Statty Patty, baby. I love it. So
that's good.
So now I lost my train of thought where we were because of my nice little Statty Patty.
Days on market.
Days on market. So question for you, this Mr. Stats with the Pats with the stats. Days on market, do you not think it will exponentially jump for the month of June? By the end of the month of June, do you think we will see 40 days on the market just like that? Because you are telling a tale. You are telling a tale. I want to remind everyone, 2017 happened. Same thing, exponential. Back then, maybe it was a 25% jump. Easter happened, and then it kind of balanced from 50% of that, like, so whatever, say it was 25%, then it kind of evened out at 12.5%. And yes, days on market increased, and that looks as though where we're going again. We're going into that 2018, 2019 market.
Yeah, I don't know where June will land as far as this year, but I think everybody should be prepared and able to discuss the concept of being on the market for a month and a half. Right?
I'm comparing
when you look at those 18, 19 markets, month in and month out, it was roughly a month to 2 months on average for those 2 years straight. And we all survived that, right? It wasn't terrible, but it's that recency bias thing. We got used to 6-7 days, and the only reason it was 6 or 7 days was because of delayed presentation of offers. Otherwise, it would have been minutes.
It would have been 1 day, 2 days. You would have been done. I agree, for sure.
And then one other thing. Look, now my daughter joined. What a world!
Woo! Buddy, they all want to listen to Statty Patty.
They don't want to listen to me at home. Dad jokes. Hey, and then one other thing on that last hey Shawn, what happened last week thing. There were more price reductions last week than sales. I thought that was 146 price reductions, 142 sales.
146 price reductions.
Yeah.
Well, that's because everyone's trying to find their footing.
They're trying to find equilibrium. That's right.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
market
and
is.
not to mention, sellers want to try. Sellers want to try. The realistic point is this: trying is not happening. There is no
Yeah.
stretching of the market, and I'm trying to stretch the market on a couple listings for some of my people, and it just ain't working. There is prices now that you can put it at that is the sale price. People and I'm preparing my sellers. This is my comment: 30 to 60 days. Be prepared. Adjustments may have to be made along the way,
Yeah.
depending what happens. Depending whether 2 weeks after we're listed, a neighbor lists their house for 50 grand less than we are, which is happening because people have to move. Or the challenge is this: what I'm finding, Pat, with a lot of my clients is that my clients who have bought in the past 3 years who are kind of looking at making a move, they got to be tight on their price because the equity's not there. My client who bought 10 years ago,
Yeah.
they can swing a little more. Okay, Shawn, 749.9, no problem.
Yeah.
699.9. Remember, I paid 180 grand for this when you bought it. I got lots of equity, and that
Yeah.
house sitting there for 899. I could pick
Yeah.
up for 875. So that's the challenge. There is some people who have to really try and make it work in this market, and others who have the opportunity to really kind of take advantage of it due to the equity and the time they've owned their houses.
And I think that it's an important thing for everybody to remember is that as much as the market overshot, overperformed, whatever you want to call it, in February, March, it's probably going to do the inverse of that in May. The May data is going to be terrible. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh,
But
it's going to be realistic to what's going on.
Well, yeah, but it's also, I think it's just like you said, it's finding its footing. So there's only this many houses that sell. Like St. Catharines is 1,900 to 2,200 a year, not 3,000, not 1,000. So over the span of time, there's these many houses. So if this much above average happens in these months, then there's probably going to be a leveling, right? And that's where I think May is. So then the story is going to be the sentiment and how people interact with the market in June, July, August, which I think we've talked about before, which will be, it's questionable. There's so many variables that, what happened. What's your word on the street, by the way? I meant to ask you this, as far as rates, because I've heard rumblings, different opinions that there won't be a rate hike in June.
You know what, man? I just wait for it to happen. I think it is going to happen.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Just from
I mean, just with the inflation, how do you counter inflation? And inflation is through the roof through interest rates. Actually, that's funny that you say that, though. I was going to do a little Googling last night and just kind of understand inflation and interest rates because, but
Okay.
It is what it is. You can't control it. Whether they do or they don't, it's
the market's going to do what the
market's what it is.
Yeah. So here's another category: new listings and people to buy them. I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to tell you what category we're doing next because it feeds off of what we just talked about. So when you look at the Niagara region on a monthly basis, going back to before we were in the industry, there's only been 2 months with more than 1,500 new listings in it. Period. This month is going to be the first time ever I expect that we crack 1,600 new listings. So that's a big deal. But like I said, remember January and February were some of the worst months we had for new listings, right? But yeah, highest. And then for the number of sales, excluding May 2020, when COVID showed up, right? It had the market in a headlock basically. Is on pace for the lowest number of sales this month. So we're going to have
record-setting. In May of COVID, we were locked in our houses and couldn't really show houses.
This May.
So I know now this May we're not locked in our houses and it's the lowest. So it goes, So that is, we could wipe the COVID May away, and this is. So Pat, what you're kind of presenting to everyone seems a little doomy and gloomy.
So that's what I'm saying though, is it's the market that's finding after the electricity that happened in January, February, March, where we're at right now is an equilibrium period, I think, personally anyway. And you got a lot of people that are jumping in the market and trying to capitalize. And then you have a lot of buyers who are, I think, on the sidelines watching, ready to play ball, but some of them aren't jumping in yet because they're waiting.
There's a
And
lot. There's a lot of people.
This is just the balancing act.
Yeah, there's lots of people that I feel are out there that want to do something. They're just kind of waiting for that one property that says, hey, I got to go see that. I think they're waiting to see some maybe potential movement. Maybe their neighbor's house is up for sale and it's just had the sold sign, the for sale sign on the lawn for like 45 days, and maybe they're a little hesitant. But I want everyone out there who's feeling a little, I mean, I saw Chris Hendricks saying he loves this market, and fair enough to you, buddy. I love this market as well. Do I want some sales to start happening? Yes. But here's the thing, guys. And I told my team this. The market doesn't make us. We can make the market. And Pat, you and I have both worked through some crappy markets where it's slow trudging and this and that. But the key thing is this. This is where you got to dig deep and work and do the things that you really didn't have to do before. Call people, follow up, open houses. If you start doing these activities, I promise you, things will start happening and things will start to move. I had to come to an aha moment 2 weeks ago and come to acceptance of the market, because I had to really come to terms that this is it. It's changed. And then I was starting to think, I'm like, okay, well, I've worked these markets before. What am I not doing? And then I realized, you know what? Shawn's waiting for it to come to him. Like I said, we had that luxury, really. Listing comes, put the house up, sells, like you said, in pretty much 7 days and onward, upward. And now you got to work a little bit. You got to constantly update your clients. Hey, here's what's going on. Here's your neighbor's house. It just sold. They sold for less. Hey, we're going to do open houses. I mean, open houses have been great. From doing the open houses, it reminds me of back in the day where people are dipping their feet in the market. And I don't know about some people, but some people are getting some pretty good open houses going. It goes to show there's people out there who want to do something. They will. They will. I think once we get through into June, there'll be some movement. Like you said, we saw some movement this past week. Don't get me wrong, we had probably about 110 houses listed yesterday. But between the conditional and pending sales, we had 50 sales. Before, when we kind of went into this curve, we were looking at about 25% sales to the listings, and now we're looking almost 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think, and going back to what I was saying about May and the concept of doomsday, my point with that is that you can't summarize any market by 1 month. Much like February didn't define the market. February was February. May doesn't define the market. But my main point is when you see the numbers that come out for May, sales are going to be down 35, 40% from May 2021. What was May 2021? That was an absolute monstrous market, right? So it's not fair sometimes putting A up against B. So you can
and if you look at it, April happened, and to be honest, April was quiet. April was like, what's this? Like nothing selling, no showings.
Yep.
And now May's coming. Yes, we're seeing still a lot of listings, but we are starting to see some sales. I feel come June, guys, fingers crossed again, but just kind of by what I feel happening, I feel there's going to be a little bit more momentum. I think once people's houses start selling, they're going to start buying, and because there's a lot of people who need to sell to buy. That's the reality. In this market right now, there's not a lot of, with the rates and the house prices, you need equity to make the move. So let's transition this into luxury, my friend.
$1 million market share. And you were right. We talked about this the other day as well. And because Shawn and I talked about pricing on a property, and you had thrown out there that the upper end is still actually chugging along fairly well. And when you look at pricing, all the markets in Niagara that hit market peak in February, March were all the usual suspects, the St. Catharines, Thorold, Fort Erie, Niagara Falls, all those guys, right? The 4 markets that had their highest sale price ever, I shouldn't say ever, but this year and probably ever, were the markets that have been over $1 million on average. Niagara Lake,
Niagara on the Lake,
1.5
Hill.
something, Fawn Hill, Grimsby, Lincoln.
Yep.
So they've all had market peak this month. Now we still got whatever four days to go, but it's probably going to sit there, right? And meanwhile, all the other markets market peaked in February, March, and have come down a bit. But the $1 million plus market, in 4 years, it went from representing 2% of all sales in 2019 to 5% of all sales in 2020 to 10% of all sales in 2021, and year to date, 23% of all sales over $1 million.
So we have a nice luxury market happening here.
Yeah, well, it used to be a Niagara on the Lake thing, and then once there'd be a couple of St. Catharines, a couple in the Falls, and now the bar graph is totally found it.
So here's something for you. Okay, so let's talk about way back in the day, and this would be our million. So I'm talking probably like you get into my 5th year in real estate. Pat, you have a $600,000 listing. A $600,000 listing. I wouldn't even want it because that $600,000 listing back then is like a $1.5 million listing now. And back then, on those listings, you would get like 1 showing a month. Like those were,
yeah,
you were listing it, fingers crossed that you had in your 6 months you were going to sell it for the people. That stuff was just not moving. We didn't really, that high-end market in our area was tough. And now with exactly what you're saying, going back from 4 years ago at 2% of the market to 5%, and now we're at 23%, our luxury market is flourishing. And I felt that was going to happen and come no matter what this year, because by the last year, end of spring into summer, our luxury stuff with pools, everything was just getting crushed. And it's looking as though it's happening again, because if you look at Fonthill, Fenwick, Pelham, those $1.5 million houses are all selling for multiple offers.
Yeah, all the high-end markets are all at their peak now, which is the opposite of the other markets. So it's proofs in the numbers, right?
That's it. And again, you got to understand too, in our high-end market, these guys aren't affected by interest rates.
Right.
Majority of high-end buyers, interest rates don't affect them. They got money, they're selling their houses out there for more than they're buying down here, or everything like that.
Yeah, the only thing I would caution on that, remember when COVID hit, that market was sleepier than the market as a whole. It took longer for that to come back because those folks, not to generalize or stereotype, but those folks are watching their stocks and their investments, and so they're commoditizing their home move, and they're saying, they're looking at the big picture of everything, as opposed to, hey, I want to buy that house because I love the backyard. Yeah, it's $1.2 million. Let's go. So that'll be interesting to see as we get into the summer where people feel. But as of right now, it's still, one point.
Looks to be a bit of a supply and demand issue yet once again. There is demand for our high-end properties, and with our high-end market, there's just not really enough supply.
Yeah. And the other thing with pricing too is because it's been so volatile, and I know the board puts out information, I know different brokerages put out info, and agents individually gather their own stuff. But depending on what you compare May to, pricing can be up 20%, compared to last May. It can be down 15% when you compare it to the year-to-date numbers. So that the pricing stuff, as well as the May sale, supply and demand side of things, the pricing for this month, like pricing is going to be down 5 or 6% this month versus last month, down 12 or something 3 months ago, but up when you look at this. So it's all over the place as far as trying to get the numbers. But I think if you look at year-to-date trends, you'll see two different things happening with the high-end market and with the meat and potatoes market.
Agreed. It is very weird. But I also see some semblance happening in that I evaluated a home roughly around the 599 mark, and at that point I pulled off all the actives. There was like 20 houses at 599, and my conversation was this, and they were all 12, 16, some 24 days on the market, just nothing happening. Listed in April slow, coming into May. And I prepared them. I said, guys, this is what might happen. The first 599er to go to 549 is going to get the offer. And then that could potentially change. But the positive out of all of that is last Friday, I saw about 6 of those 599ers with offers.
Yeah, that's good.
And not only that, some making just slight adjustments from 599 to 579 and selling right after that adjustment. So the key thing is this: we're all trying to figure out pricing, but pricing is key. And we can agree the list it low to sell it high is not the strategy. Pricing it fair for the market, offers anytime, is the way to go. And if nothing happens within 30 days, well, then you know what? You probably got to look at the price and adjust it. And at that point, the seller's going to have to make a decision. Do I want to go there, or do I just want to pull the plug, keep my house, and kind of wait it out? And again, that would be the case for someone who's owned their house for 3 years, probably has to pull the plug. But someone who has owned their house for 10 years with their equity, they can keep trucking along.
So exactly what Connie just said, or the over million buyers are third-time buyers that have been waiting to make their move. So yeah, third-time buyer, somebody who's enjoyed, provided their most recent purchases in that time frame you're talking about, that all of a sudden hated what they were seeing before and now can go in on their own, or maybe 2 offers, and buy in a more civilized condition. Now they're saying, let's do this. Now's the time, right?
Absolutely. And I think there's tons of people out there that want to do something. I'm going to tell you, I find that if the media would shut up and stop the propaganda, no, straight up, if they would just, if they didn't put anything in the paper and let people figure it out for themselves, we'd start having things move along. Like, okay, yes, rates are going up. Well, guess rates have gone up in the past. Just go sit down with the mortgage broker. Have a conversation. Okay, rates are going up. What can I do? What has happened? Oh, I can lock in now to save myself 1%, and this is what it's going to cost me at this. People just need to go have conversations to figure it all out. It's not doom and gloom.
But don't you think that's on us as an industry too, to disseminate actual relevant information? For example, when May comes out, I'm saying if I'm a headline writer, I love it because there's blood in those headlines, right? 38% decline in sales, 12% decline in price. They're going to jump all over. The Standard will have something in.
Oh, buddy, but that's the frustrating thing is 2 weeks ago, they come out and the big report, sales are down 16.7%. Sales, not sale prices, sales. Sure, that sales are down and shows that the market is quieting. If I'm a buyer, that is what I'm waiting to hear. Sales are down means demand's down, means I have an opportunity to jump into the market and buy a house, and I don't have to get involved in all this multiple BS. I understand the affordability factor. I understand about the rates, but guess what? Go get pre-approved. There is tons of people out there that this doesn't affect. Don't get me wrong. There's others that this drastically affects. And yes, I understand house prices are higher that with these new rates and the stress test now on these new rates, but there is opportunities for people. I think the noise has to be left out. Yeah. And, because again, like you do market update videos. I do market update videos. I clearly say in my market update video I just did for May that, like, don't listen to the noise.
Mm.
Go and sit down and talk to the right people and get the right advice. The challenge is this, Pat. You and I are two guys who can do stuff on social, or we can do blogs and, get to a couple hundred people. The National Post, though, can put out an article
Sure.
and get in front of millions of people and just crush it for us, So I don't know if I should go to, maybe I should go up to Parliament Hill there and stand with a sign. The market's not that bad. Make a little news post, get on the national news, and then maybe that might change everything for everybody. But
so it's the same.
Feel that
it's the same thing we said in April. Is we're comparing right now to the biggest month of all time, which was April last year, and May of last year was, I think, third or fourth highest all time for monthly number of sales. So of course, April and May of 2022 are going to make for good headlines because we're going up against, the golden sluggers of all time. So they won't put that in the article. And so when you see whatever it is, and I've always bugged the board office about it too, is give context to it. Like, what are we comparing it to? What was that in history? And that's all that matters, right? Like if you look at a baseball player and they're in a slump for 10 days, like Bo Bichette or Teoscar on my baseball pool, he's killing me. But what's his career, not what's his last 10 days. And the 10 days makes more interesting headlines, right? Yeah, Shawn, according to the people here, you're going to Ottawa next week. I'll drive you.
Yeah, I will personally turn the market around with my campaign of saying it's not doom and gloom. Don't listen to the propaganda. I mean, that is one thing I find frustrating in all our lives is everything's propaganda driven. They just put out what they want us to understand or this and that. And that's a different story on its own. We're talking real estate, not politics or all propaganda.
But then it's on us. Then it's on us as professionals to give the, why is Teoscar Hernandez batting 108 for the last 2 weeks, And so why is May doing what May is doing? Why is it important in the grand scheme of the marketplace? What is the market actually like right now compared to 6 months ago or the last 18 months? What does it look like? Not right now. So it's on everybody. Like there's tons of realtors that watch this, and you're
right. It's going to be hyper intensified because of these weird anomalies, the spikes and this and that, and yes, then it kind of mucks up the stats, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's two things. Us as agents have been crying for this market.
Yeah,
I personally have. We've been crying. Like there's multiple. We've been crying. So guys, we have it now. We have it here. We got to be patient. People have to dig deep and do the things that we didn't have to do in the past. Secondly, I'm not going to lie, this frustrates me a little bit, okay? Because, as much as we were crying about it, our locals were crying about it as well. All these out-of-towners, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. Guys, the time is now for you. The time is now. And my fear is this, Pat. We're going to go through 2 years of this potentially, and it's going to be a little balanced, and sales will be lighter. And you know what's going to happen? All of a sudden, 2 years from now, everyone's going to go, okay, let's do this. And the out-of-towners are going to say, let's go back to Niagara. And everyone's going to jump in, and a lot of people are going to miss their actual opportunity. The opportunity is now. It's balanced. You own your house. It's all relative. So I'm telling you, I don't want to hear the blues and the crying and this and that. Your house, if you're a seller who just wants to sell your home, you're still up 15% from last year.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Which pre-2017, pre-2016, we hadn't had ever. The highest was 10 or 11% back in 2004-05. So a 15% is like a top 5 finish.
Yeah.
And if that's considered negative, then that, I'm a bit lost if that's the case. What does that say? Agreed. And the needs to sell in short time and concern of sellers currently isn't going to sustain.
Well, that's the whole thing. You got to. So again, my whole strategy right now is you have to list your home. There's so many houses. We had 100 houses listed. There's more coming. List your home, figure out exactly how much money you can get. And don't get me wrong, there's competition out there. You sell your house, someone else might sell their house. You guys are looking at the same nice house that has no work to do with the pool. There may be multiple offers. Therefore, your house is sold. You know how much money you have, and you can be a little competitive. I know that's going to happen. It's the way it's going to go. The nice houses, no matter what the market is, will always sell and probably get a little multiple offers. The houses that are a little tired, got to be priced aggressive, or you got to get some work done. That's the bottom line.
So,
and everyone needs to be just a little patient.
Tara, I'll come back to your question in a second. Do you remember the 2017 back half market going into 2018? How would you describe it in a sentence?
You know what? To be honest with you, I don't 100% quite recall that moment. I remember 2017 when the shift happened. But I don't remember the tail end of the year. Like, to be honest, I remember I did well. I worked. I did open houses. I just found buyers.
So the back half of 27, and I don't have this memorized. I know I'm statty patty, but I got
statty patty, baby.
So St. Catharines this month is going to have the second highest number of new listings ever. The first highest, the record setter, still gold medal winner, is May 2017, which was the month after things changed, right? So are we at that same inflection point right now? Quite possibly. And so, yes, the rest of 2017 underperformed, not horrendously, but yeah, it wasn't where it had been, obviously, 2016 before that. But markets don't change or find their footing in the span of a couple of weeks. It takes a while for it to figure itself out. So this period we're in for the next little while is going to be the market figuring itself out. And
absolutely.
Right.
I feel we are on a positive trajectory, though, from April into May. Yep. There does seem to be, like I said, some movement. Doing the open houses, I had some very good positive conversations. I have people kind of reaching out to me now. And again, Shawn, I'm encouraging them.
I'm not going to lie. I don't have any A-frames anymore for open houses. So you're telling me I got to go out and replace my stock?
You know what, buddy?
Yeah.
I'll tell you the thing about open houses.
Go on.
In a market like this, there's two reasons you do them. Number one, if you're not getting showings, you do the open house to show your seller you're working hard to at least try and get their house sold, and people are coming to the open house. Secondly, you want some buyers? Great opportunity to meet some buyers, you know?
Yeah.
So I'd like everyone in Niagara to do open houses. Start getting some buyers, and let's get the show on the road here. We can make this happen. And again, that's another point, Pat, of you talking us as realtors. That's a great time. I've had great conversations with people at open houses, and by the time the conversation's done, they're like, "This isn't so bad."
Yeah.
And here's the bottom line too. Like, there is going to be another spike. We're here where we are. We knew something that what happened in real estate during COVID, let alone the effects of what was happening on our economy. I still don't know. Obviously inflation, but obviously there's been dramatic impacts of COVID and now we're having the fallout. And this is the fallout that's coming. And everyone's trying to figure it out. But if you talk to the people, there's a lot of people that have the opportunity to do stuff. They're not affected by all of this, you know? I mean, I've worked in recessions. Pat, you've worked in a market in recessions. And to be honest with you, those were some of my favorite markets. Just dig deep and get the buyers.
So two things on that. One is as far as pricing goes, I think, and again, going back to that recency bias thing, we have to be, and people have to be aware or comfortable with the idea that pricing's probably going to sit and bounce around for the next 18 months. That's my theory. Because that's exactly what happened 2017 through 2018. There was a little bit up, a little bit down, but largely it bounced around in the same vicinity. There wasn't any 17% month over month stuff going until
But
the market
also
started.
too, there wasn't a dramatic 15,
Right.
like we hit a semblance. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm saying we're at now. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is why I say it's a balanced market, because there is going to be some favorable opportunities for sellers with those nice homes where they'll get a multiple offer and get over their asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be other opportunities for the buyers with the houses kind of sitting there. And yeah, or a motivated seller where they might get themselves a little bit of a better buy. But in the end, like you said, Pat, it will kind of balance out. And I feel there's opportunities for sellers, opportunities for buyers. Guess what? That to me sounds like a winning market. So let's get out there and sling some shacks.
Going back to Tara's question about agents, how many new realtors do you think will see exit the industry with these changes? Those that entered the industry within the last year or two and have a false perception of how things typically work. All I know is this: when we had the 2008 stuff go on, I remember there was theories that we were going to shed like 30% membership, and we didn't. It just went up. And I think the one thing to factor in is that, and I don't know the data on it. I don't know if, well, I guess Rico would maybe, is how many people this is a part-time job or it's a secondary job. So you know, you call the agent and they're working at wherever they are and they have to call you back, kind of thing. So that insulates them from all of a sudden it's harder to put a deal together. I don't know. So again, I don't know if that will factor in.
I don't think there's going to be a ton of drop off.
There never has.
Really
Every time it's been predicted, it hasn't happened.
Yeah. No, because you're right. Because a lot of agents feel if I sell 4 or 5 houses with my part-time job, I'm good to go. And so for now, they sell one house until it kind of gets going. And it is what it is. But those who dig deep in this market right now, there is, and like Naomi said, there is opportunity right now. There is 100% opportunity for us as agents if we dig deep and work. I'm having a client appreciation event on next Friday, and it gave me a great opportunity to call past clients and invite them out. My whole thing is this year, Pat, I committed to not taking one lead. I am working with the people I work with. The leads go to the team. The leads are starting to come in very nicely, which shows me a little uptick. But also, too, from doing these past client calls, I picked up some business, casual lookers. Yes, Shawn, get me a price on my house. We're going to look. And then it's back to old, like the way it was. So it's like, okay. And I build a pipeline of like 20, 30 people. And then next thing you know, they all start popping, and there we go. I think, I hate to say it, I think I'm going to be a little busier than I want this summer, Pat, but that's okay.
And that's another thing that makes Tara's question interesting, and we've talked about it before, is there's a lot of people that are in the business that haven't experienced anything but what has been really atypical, but for them it's typical or it's normal. But the anxiety, the crushing anxiety that a realtor has when they go to sleep, knowing that they have this basket of sellers who are now on the, you know, X number of days in the market, and then managing a larger pool of buyers than they've ever had, and all of a sudden they're showing, like I showed somebody a house yesterday. Have you looked at downtown St. Catharines? How many houses are for sale?
Yeah, but that's one of my $5.99 indicators.
Huge.
There's a lot of $5.99.
Said, you know, we're going to go look at houses. Yeah.
You know, so you might see some shaving on those prices to get things kind of going there. It's kind of showing that maybe that $5.99. Some have sold, but it's showing that it's not gravitating. I mean, I love this. This is interesting for us. We're all trying to figure out how it goes. And I'm not going to lie. Pat, you and I forgot as well about 2014, 2015. I had to take a little pause and I say, and when this market got like this, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like I've done this before and I've done very well in these markets before. What am I doing wrong? And what I was doing wrong was I was waiting. I'm waiting for stuff to happen. I'm waiting for the market to do something. Well, guess what? Back then, I never waited for the market to do something. The market was what it was. And I just hammered the phone, hammered open houses, and I was working 7 days a week. And I'm I don't know. I love working. I love real estate. I love helping people. And I'm prepared to work 7 days a week again, minus a 2-week vacation at the beginning of July.
Remember what Statty Patty always tells you, though. You got to take
Statty
time
Patty,
for
I
you.
love it.
You got to take time for you and your family. So this whole like 7 days a week thing, I don't support it, but I've told you that before.
I know. It's a mild little bit of digging deep. It's just a mild little bit of digging deep. But you know what? Talking with Terrence yesterday. Okay, so I was a little slow. I think we were all a little slow coming back 3 weeks ago. It seemed like it was. I dug deep. I made the calls. Well, now I got a pipeline going. And I looked at Terry and I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm already burnt out again. He just starts laughing.
It's like that.
He's like, buddy, you do this to yourself all the time. It's like, I'm not busy. Then you do a whole bunch of stuff to get yourself busy. Then you're too busy. He goes, you're crying when you're not busy. You're crying when you're busy. He's like, and so I'm like, I do it to myself. But it just goes to show that if you do the work, though, things happen. And I don't want people to I don't want agents to leave. I want agents to stick in this business. And this is very cool for people to figure things out. Like there's an agent I'm kind of working on a deal with right now. New guy. I got to tell you, phenomenally impressed by this gentleman. Like phenomenally impressed. He just he's dug right in. He seems to have learned things very quick. His candor, it's just amazing. And there is tons of people who will flourish, and high fives and handshakes to that agent. And it's just good to see.
Do you want to share their name or no?
No. I'm just gonna say a nice young new guy, and he's been phenomenal to work with. Yeah. And we'll leave it at that.
And that's very true. There's not necessarily a direct correlation between ages and number of years in the business and how good you are.
No,
but I
hate to say it. The honest truth is, some people have it, buddy, when they get into this business, and unfortunately, some don't. I feel that some don't really understand what a career is in real estate before they actually get into it.
And the brutal truth is, you can make a very comfortable living doing this job. So you're damn right you should be working your ass off. If you're carrying,
100%,
you're carrying a group of people that are relying on you to do whatever it is that they got to do, then you should be hustling and working and doing the work necessary. But I totally understand what you're saying, that letting it come to you thing, because we're all humans at the end of the day. So there's stuff that there's ebb and flow to it, right? We all have our maximum that we can reach where we burn out or we can't take any more incoming stimuli. Sometimes you hit a wall, and that's where I think it's important for realtors to talk to realtors too. But
that is one thing I want to touch on. In this past month and a half, I have not talked to more of our local agents. It reminds me back of the old days, and to the point where we're helping each other. Like agent calling me, Shawn, you just sold that house. How many showings did you have? Like, I'm getting none. Did you have a lot of showings? It's like, no, I had 3 showings and I got lucky on the 3rd showing. And it's like, okay, what was the consensus? What was the feedback on your price? And we're all here to help each other. Not only that, agents, please, more than ever, if you're an agent out there watching right now, please fill out the feedback requests for people. And don't just say, no, maybe, no. Put a little market thing saying, hey, you know what? I showed so-and-so listing. It looked a little better than yours. My clients kind of liked it. Still not for them, but you might be a little high if you do a 20% adjustment or something. Like, help each other out. This is huge for all of us, and it helps us with our sellers, because I know part of the problem right now is it's not the buyers. The buyers are great. The buyers have options. It's our sellers. The sellers coming to the market right now are cool. They kind of get it, but it's the sellers from 3 to 2 months ago that kind of missed the boat, that are just trying to hold on because some of them already bought and they're not going to get as much, so they're just trying to do what they can do. But in order for us to help them, I'm asking you guys to help us as well. So that's huge.
And that's an unfortunate symptom of a market like we had, is because as much as, people take all these other the little moving parts of the business, they take them for granted, like accurate list pricing. Who cares? I'm going to put it out there, and I know on Wednesday I'm going to have a lineup. And the feedback thing, or just the common decency. Somebody cancels a showing, hey, can you share with me why did they cancel, just so I have an idea, that kind of thing. Because that's like if there's nothing more discouraging with a listing that's getting a showing here, a showing there, and then there's one that's canceled. It's hard on your seller because they're on this roller coaster. So I had that last week, and I reached out to the agent. I said, thanks for letting me know you're canceling, just so I know and I can share it with the seller, and I didn't get a response back. And I thought it wouldn't be that hard to say, you know what, they realized it only had X, and then we're good. So instead I had to go back to the seller and say, I don't know why they canceled. And
I know. Again, to be honest, it's I reached out to them, no response. And to them, they're like, well,
who does that?
It's like, aren't you guys in the industry? Don't you guys work together? Don't you help each other, kind of thing? And it's like, well, you know what? A lot of us do, but unfortunately, there is some that, what I mean? So
it's empathy, right? Because when they have a listing and they're in that situation, they reach out, they hear back, and then the next time it comes up for them on the buyer's side, they think they're going to, right? And that's, again, as the market adjusts to the next 18 months of 55 days in the market or whatever it's going to be, people are going to be more apt to follow that guide.
Well, full disclosure here, I have a little feedback list of a couple people that I will never give feedback to.
Why? I love that.
Because they just have never, ever returned feedback, and they go on the naughty feedback list. And I'm like, beautiful, please call me for feedback sometime. I'm just going to ghost you. Like, the technology is so good now. Email people the thing, or just a simple text message. It's not hard, man. And if I send you that thing at 9 o'clock in the morning, the text, I don't care. Okay, if you send it to me at 8 o'clock at night before you put on your Netflix show or whatever, just shoot it. It's just a quick text. I do not understand. I will never ghost someone. If you text me, I'm going to text you back. Like, it's mind-boggling to me, some of the behavior. But anyways, it is what it is. Yep.
So on the counter side of that is, I would say a high fives and kudos and handshakes to all the great agents out there that do respond and provide that info and that intel, or have a chat or whatever. And I'm the same. I've said that to clients. I've never had more agent to agent, other brokerage conversations that I've had in the last little while. And so we got to keep that going.
Absolutely, for sure. Okay, buddy, listen, enjoy the weekend.
Yeah,
all right, and we'll be looking forward. So us. June will be the wrap up till we get to fall. June will be our wrap up. So it'll be really interesting. I just want to put it out there at this moment. I'm erring on the side of positivity that when we do this in June, we're gonna see a little more movement for that month. So fingers crossed.
Are we gonna do predictions?
I don't know what. My prediction is this, that we're just going to see a few more sales happening. That's my prediction. How many percentages and this and that, Pat, I do not know. I'm going to leave that for Statty Patty.
And maybe we'll see you in Ottawa, huh?
Yeah, maybe, for sure. Anyways, all right, everyone, have a great weekend.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Ciao.
See ya. Bye.